550.
Paul Hamilton now on the Wester Hotline. Merry Christmas, Christmas Eve edition of Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy is off today. And the Sabres are giving everybody a Christmas miracle, if you will, a 7-game win streak. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, and yes, Secret Santa has struck again.
Secret Santa has struck again? Yeah?
Yes. Got my gift already about 2 or 3 days ago, so thank you, whoever Secret Santa is. Hopefully they're listening, because I still have no clue who it is.
Yeah. I don't think I've had a Secret Santa this year or last year. We do like the white elephant thing where I think you know who the other person is. So in yours, you don't know, obviously. That's the whole point.
I thought I knew, and I compared the writing to a card from the person I knew, a Christmas card.
Yeah.
It didn't match. And I go, oh, no, it's not this person.
Okay. All right, Paul. Well, last night, the Sabres get another one, 7-game win streak. What about this game for you? Lindy said in the postgame that he felt like it almost had like a playoff intensity to it. Is that how you felt, especially after the game was tied in the second?
I did. And even down to the refereeing, I've noticed, what do you want to say, maybe the last 3 games or so, we're into playoff refereeing, which means you either have to shoot the puck over the glass to get a penalty or really, really pull somebody down or draw blood. I've just noticed a lot of penalties are not being called and going by the board. And then all of a sudden they'll call one, and out of the clear blue. It's like, well, what happened to the 15 other penalties between the two teams that I've seen in this game? And all of a sudden you're calling one now, it really was and really has been. Let's go back to the Seattle game. Every single game since then has been a 1-goal or tied game in the third period. And, Joe, I've been impressed with every single third period I've seen since then. I mean, they've not given the puck away. They've been very good with the puck, so their goaltender doesn't have to stand on their head. The only time they got tied up was when Kesselring took the penalty for slashing a guy's stick out of his hands, and it became a 6-on-4 with the goaltender pulled. So it wasn't 5-on-5. 5-on-5, they have really played really well defending leads, 1-goal leads, and that's been a problem of theirs for a long time now. We can go back a couple of coaches where, it's a 1-goal lead, and you were almost assured that it was going to get at least tied up, and maybe even lose the hockey game, either in overtime or in regulation or whatever. So do you want to call it maybe a maturity that we're seeing in this team, that they finally have bought in from the first guy to the 20th guy to what Lindy Ruff is selling, and maybe have figured out, stop being hard-headed about it, where, they play the way Lindy Ruff would want them to, and then they play their way for a while, and then it all would go down the tubes on them. Right now, it's looking like they have faith in what Lindy Ruff is telling them to do, faith that they can win a hockey game if they do it and play the game the right way. And it's resulted in not only defending these 1-goal leads, but coming out with 7 wins in a row.
Yeah, I wondered, Paul, if there's any element, because when a new GM comes in, it's natural to wonder what else could come. And he even said, Jarmo, that everyone is under evaluation right now, that if there's any component of this effort has really been there for the last, especially the last 4 or 5 games, because they're rallying around the coach.
Yeah, I think what I think when it comes to the new GM and everything, and look, everybody kind of knew for about a week that it was going to happen. And right. I think Kevin Adams knew, quite honestly.
So the players would have, on some level.
Yeah, sure they would have. We all knew. I had been talking about it basically since Monday of that week, both on Channel 2 when I'm on, and with you guys too. That it's just like, this has to happen. It can't go on any further. It just can't. And to me, it's like a cloud got lifted off them. The whole organization, but especially maybe the players. It's like, okay, it's happened. Now we have a new regime. We have, a guy who's been a GM for 11 years, coming in, a no-nonsense guy coming in who knows what he wants, and is all first thing out of his mouth in his press conference was he really thinks that this is a good team. He goes, there's talent on this team, but he goes, there's too many nights where they play a team that they're better than and they lose because they get outworked. And he said that's absolutely unacceptable. It was the first thing he talked about after thanking the Pagulas for hiring him that he brought up. And, so they know where they stand with Kekalainen. Everybody knows where they stand.
Yeah. Do you feel
no-nonsense guy who's going to look you in the eye? And I think that cloud maybe has been lifted off the whole organization too, and they maybe feel a little freer now.
Do you feel like also, Paul, that part of their consistent effort right now is that they have 4 lines that you can really trust at all times of the game? Especially, Thompson, Norris, and McLeod down the middle. If those guys are healthy and playing well, like those lines are almost always going to be performing, to some degree. The fourth line has given them a lot of good minutes recently, and I think last night was maybe their best game in a while.
Yeah, Lindy Ruff brought up that was by far Greenway's best game that he felt, and it's the fact that they get in on the forecheck and then they start getting pucks to the crease. You're not necessarily getting goals out of it, but it just makes the defense look over their shoulder, going, "Am I going to get hit again?" Yep, here comes Malenstein. Yeah, I'm getting hit. And it kind of softens things up for the other lines. And eventually, if they put the puck to the crease enough and they're all there, it's going to go in off one of them, or they'll
right.
get rewarded eventually. But just the fact that they're in the offensive zone, and then the next line comes out and they can continue that forecheck and get in the offensive zone. And even before, I've noticed that with this line, I pretty much have liked, and Kozak sometimes is in on that too. I would say the 4, and Krebs. I would say the 5 of them, when they play together in almost any combination, for the most part, I've liked them this year as far as being able to change the game and get in on the forecheck and not really hurt you in the defensive zone. But I think it's even been more noticeable recently.
Paul Hamilton with us on the Western Hotline. The Sabres win over Ottawa 3-2. A night that Bowen Byram legacy game could be said, right? Like 3 points, 2 goals. The most contribution he's maybe ever had in a single game for them?
I think maybe I'd have to really think about it. One of the players that has really come to life is Bowen Byram. He was on a really long stretch where I just thought to myself, what is wrong with him? He was giving the puck away constantly. He just was not playing well at all and just seemed absolutely lost. And it didn't matter what partner he was on. It graded out very poorly. He did not grade out well with Rasmus Dahlin to start the year. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to the next partner. That didn't grade out well. It seemed like every partner he was with was the worst of the 3 pairs on defense. And since the Sabres have, gotten going here, I think he's been a big part of it. I think his game has changed totally. Part of it is getting into the rush, like Lindy Ruff wants all his defensemen to do. He seems to really be doing it more, and even it's gotten him some goals. It's also gotten him some chances where he hasn't necessarily scored, but he's been dangerous down low coming in. He's able to read the play, find the opening, get himself in a place where one of his teammates, he gives them a passing lane, and has been able to score. And I know the players, if you were listening to the post game last night, were kind of kidding around about his shot.
Yeah.
Tuck was like, what was that, about 35 miles an hour? But the reality is, if you do a knuckleball like that, you totally fool the goaltender. It's better than probably a 100-mile-an-hour shot because Allmark's ready for a blast, and he gets a knuckleball. Well, when you've already committed to getting yourself set up for a wicked shot and you get that, you're done. It's either going to hit you or go in. You're not going to be able to react to it. So really, yeah, I know they enjoyed giving him a hard time, but it really helped him score the goal. I think that have that shot knuckle for him and go into the net.
Yeah, we talked about that with Owen a little bit earlier, that if you're a goalie, you're 100% expecting that to be a rocket every single time. And when you get the knuckle, I think part of that, Paul, is I don't know if players can really do that on purpose. So I'm not sure goalies ever expect it. Right.
You're absolutely right. You can do it. He fanned. He got the pass over. The puck might have bounced a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the ice isn't great at that point, because you're in overtime. So, yeah, he fanned on the shot, or the puck bounced a little bit, or whatever it is. That's what would cause that. You're right. You can't. I've played hockey for many years. I'm not on the NHL level.
Yeah.
But you can't. Now, I know Rob Ray would shoot like that all the time, but he didn't mean to.
Uh-huh.
I have to give Rob a shot on Christmas Eve. Why not? Yeah. But you're right. You can't do that. It just happens.
The first player that learns how to do that on purpose will score a lot of goals, but I don't think that's happened yet. Paul Hamilton with us. On other contributions yesterday, Paul, another goal from Noah Ostlund, and he really helps, I think, the depth of their lineup right now, because without Kulik and without Zucker, like him being able to step up into the top six and do it really at the wing position when he has played a lot of center. How have you felt about him overall? I know he's scoring lately, but it feels like from Lindy on down, and Yarmo even yesterday, I think, got asked about him, that everyone just seems pretty impressed with him overall, not just the scoring.
It's the overall age. And when we talked to him after the game, if people want to go back and listen to it in the audio vault, he really revealed he's hardly ever played wing. He's been a center, because he was asked, when was the last time you played wing like full time like that? And he's like, he really had to think. And he had to go back to maybe his first year of pro in Sweden. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, he played 2 years of pro in Sweden before he came over. And also credited those 2 years. He could have been here and playing in Rochester or whatever, and he would have been fine. But he told any team that was going to draft him, he told them that he was going to stay in Sweden for 2 years before he came over. So it's almost like playing in the minors anyway,
Yep.
So he did that. And I think it really helped him. So he only really had 1 year in Rochester, and now he's in Buffalo probably to stay. I mean, he's earned it. But that's the thing. Remember when he went over to wing, I said, I know he's a better centerman. He's hardly played wing at all. I was trying to think back if he ever played it in Rochester. I think he did for a couple of shifts. But yeah, it's been flawless. For a kid that age, 21, it's been flawless. He's just went to the wing and he's fine. He's good at both ends of the ice. I asked him too. I mean, he's so tiny. He's such a little guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's probably the smallest guy on the team. How does he win battles against guys so much bigger than him? And he talked about stick position. Mm-hmm. He says, you got to plant, use your legs, because usually smaller guys like that do have well-developed and strong legs where they can kind of plant a little bit. Mm-hmm. And he goes, it's a lot of what he is able to do and is successful with it is stick position, whether it's on the forecheck or trying to battle in front of the net like he did to score that goal.
Paul Hamilton with us on the Western Hotline. He's up to 6 goals now on the year after that deflection yesterday. So the win against Ottawa, Paul, they're gaining ground on everybody. I looked at this during the win streak. They have gained ground, as you would expect, on every team in the Atlantic Division. A couple of them, like Montreal, Florida, it's only 2 points. But they've gained 7 on Boston, 5 on Tampa, 3 on Ottawa. I feel like a Sabre fan could wake up this morning and look at the standings and say, oh, they're only that much higher after a 7-game win streak, but it feels like they are definitely closing the gap between them and the teams that they have to jump over.
When you go into the standings in the NHL, don't go by points. Hit the button where it says points percentage, and you will be much happier. First of all, that's a better gauge because it takes the games in hand out of the equation, and you will find that they only have to leapfrog 2 more teams. Mm-hmm. They're by some of the other teams that are ahead of them in points, but because of games in hand, the Sabres actually have a better points percentage. And I've been Brian and I talked about this again last night. I said, look, I've been saying all along, if they have any chance, and I didn't even see a 7-game winning streak coming out of this team the way it was going. But the change has simply got them rolling. But I felt it was going to take at least a double-figure win streak, 10 games. Well, they've won 7 in a row. They're not quite into the playoff spot yet, so they still have work to do. And Brian says, you know what? He goes, 10 sounds about right. He goes, if they can pull off a 10-game winning streak, they probably will be in playoff position. Mm-hmm. They will get past the other teams that they need to. So it's something that I did not think they were capable of, quite honestly. I mean, what have we seen in the last with this group or any other group recently that would tell us that they could pull off a 10-game winning streak? I mean, 2.5 weeks ago, they couldn't pull off a 3-game winning streak.
Right.
I mean, and here they are. So, I of course am surprised by it. I've been talking about it for a while. That's what was going to be needed. But I'm not going to lie to you. I really didn't think they were capable of doing it.
Yeah, no, me neither. And Lindy talked about the health again last night during the game. How much would you attribute to that being the case? That one reason why it looks a lot better in recent weeks is even with the couple of guys that are still out, this is about as healthy as they have been all year.
It is, and it's the guys who got healthy. Norris. I mean, Norris is your number one center. Let's face it. I was figuring out before the game that if you take his totals over 82 games, he's on over a 90-point pace. He'd have over 50 assists. I think it was 91-point pace. So that was missing from their lineup, and they needed that dearly because they just don't have depth to cover the top 6. And still, I would say their number one left winger is still out in Zucker. I think, they were counting on Kulik, and rightfully so, to be in the top 6. He has been out. So you still have guys, the top 6, which leaves you with Peyton Krebs playing in your top 6. Is he scoring goals or getting very many assists? No, he's not. But go look at the analytics to see how that's working out. It's working out just fine. I mean, he and that line are grading out well with him on that line. And the guy just puts his head down and works. He works and works and works and works and works to try to win battles, to try to get in on the forecheck. He only has the one goal. It was the empty netter. You would want him to be more productive up there. But, if you look at the way he works and the way he battles, he's not afraid of anybody or anything on the ice. He'll do whatever it takes to try to win a hockey game. And, so, I mean, he's not a top 6 forward, really. But as I say, people are, you don't want him there. Who are you going to put there? Dunn? Melenstein? I mean, Kozak? Who are you going to put there? They just don't have depth at the top 6. And as I said, if you're a numbers person, an analytics person, you're quite fine with that line.
Last thing for you, Paul. One other individual I wanted to get your take on right now. Michael Kesselring took 2 penalties last night. He had that one the other night at the end of the game against the Islanders. How do you feel like it's going for him in general? And was there an injury he picked up at some point last night?
Yeah, Lindy didn't really want to talk too much about it, but he did leave the game. He left and came back to the bench and then left again. And then the period ended and he came out and went for a little skate, and tried it. Came out of the locker room, and then in the third period was back to play. So whatever it was that bothering him, he was able to shake it off and move forward. And he didn't miss shifts in the third period, so he was good enough to play. I was kind of watching him on a couple shifts, and it didn't seem to affect his agility or his speed or anything like that. The penalty thing is something that he needs to pull back on a little bit. I've noticed he's a little quicker this time than he was the last time. And then he admitted to me that he maybe came back a little bit too early because he really wanted to get back in the lineup with his new team. And he said, you're right. I didn't have the speed or the quickness that I needed to play. So for the most part, I have seen that. It seems to be a little bit better, but he still is not anywhere near where what I saw when he was on Team USA, because I saw every game when they won the gold medal. He's not even close to that yet, but he's ramping up. but the penalties are a problem. And the penalties for a team that, if there's one thing they have not improved on, is taking that late penalty in the third period. It just seems like, and I'm getting, all the fans think everything is a dive, and the Sabres never commit a penalty, and that was whatever. Alex Tuck himself admitted it was a penalty. So, folks, get off it. Stop, put the pom-poms down. The Buffalo Sabres actually do earn a penalty every now and then. And, but they killed it off. Luckily for them, they have a good penalty-killing unit. I asked Alex Tuck after the game, I said, were you nervous sitting in the penalty box? Because there were still 9 seconds left in the penalty when overtime came. So I said, were you nervous sitting in the penalty box, or did you just know your teammates are very good at killing penalties and they do it? And he smiled. He goes, both.
Right.
He goes, I am very confident in the way we kill penalties, but he goes, I just didn't want this to be on me that I took that penalty, and then we wind up losing the hockey game. So he admitted it was a bit uncomfortable sitting there watching his team do a very good job of killing off that penalty, but they got to stop that. It's Kesselring did the other day, and sure enough, the Islanders scored on the 6-on-4, and you wound up giving up a team that you're trying to chase a point when you should have given them none. Mm-hmm. You still won. You won in overtime, but it's something that they still are doing, and they have to cut down on.
All right, Paul, a couple of days off here, and then Saturday at home against Boston. I feel like the atmosphere at KeyBank Center could be as good as it's been in a long time on Saturday.
Yep, I know the players are excited to be with their families and celebrate Christmas and everything. I bet they probably wish Christmas was still 2 or 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you want to take a break after you've won 7 in a row because you're feeling great about everything. But it is what it is, and this is the break, and they're going to enjoy their families and go. And don't forget, fans, too, like on Saturday, teams can't travel the day before, so all the visiting teams, it's like a preseason game. They'll get up in the morning and travel to whatever city they have to go to. They get day rooms. They usually have a morning skate, and then they'll go and get day rooms and take a nap or whatever they do. Okay. So Boston on Saturday will not be able to come to Buffalo Friday night like they normally would. They will come to Buffalo on Saturday morning.
Gotcha. All right, Paul Hamilton with us. Thank you, Paul, and Merry Christmas, and we'll talk later in the week.
Thanks, and happy holidays to you and all the listeners, and we'll talk to you, well, I won't say Saturday. I won't talk to you Saturday, but next week.
Yeah, or if you're around Friday, maybe we'll hang out. We got a lot of good vibes right now with the Sabres, so thanks, Paul.
Take care.